I'm so glad I checked them before they burnt, because they're just on the edge. I've burnt a lot of nuts. It happens.
MicroMangia, courageous cooking in a crowd kitchen.
I love a good juicy burger, especially in the summer. But I have a lot of friends that are vegan and vegetarian, so I wanted to find a good veggie burger. A lot of the ones out on the market, they're made with potato and soy. I can't eat potato, and I have friends that are allergic to soy, so I felt like I needed to build a better meatless burger. But I did not want to use that meat product that's not a meat product, that plant-based meat product that bleeds. I don't know what it is. It doesn't look like food to me. It smells funky. I know some people love it, but I wanted to build a black bean burger. So today I'm going to show you what I came up with. I like to put nuts in my bean burger because they add a nice crunch and a nice flavor and texture, but you've got to toast your nuts to develop the flavor. So I'm using walnuts, but you could use pecans, you could use almonds, you could use pine nuts. I happen to have walnuts, so 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes, but I'm gonna watch it because they burn really fast. Nuts are toasted. They smell fragrant. It took less than 5 minutes. It was like 3.5 minutes, so that's why you have to watch them. Then I'm gonna put them right in my chopping bowl. This is called a mezzaluna. Ah, there goes my timer. That was 5 minutes. If I had left them in, they would have been burnt to a crisp. Look, see, they're nice and dark, but not burnt. Chop. That is just about the right amount of chop. I like using my chopping bowl in my mezzaluna, but you could use a food processor. Just be careful not to turn it into nut butter. You could use, put it in a bag and bang it with a rolling pin. Vegetarian burgers, a lot of them use an egg for a binder, but I'm making this vegan, so I made flax paste, which is a really good substitute for eggs. It's a simple combination of flax meal, which is just ground up flax seeds, and water. And it's basically 1 tablespoon of flax meal, 2 tablespoons of water equals 1 egg. All the things you need to prep before you build the burger. Your quinoa is cooked. Your nuts are toasted and chopped. You've got, the flax goo. And then, the spice mix. This has paprika, cayenne pepper, onion powder, coriander, cumin, salt, pepper. So fragrant. This gives it a really good depth of flavor. I've got chopped garlic. I've got rice flour, which I use to also help bind the burger, but you could use regular flour if you're not gluten-free. You could also use breadcrumbs, but rice flour works really well. My chopped mushrooms, my chopped onions, we're gonna saute these to bring out their flavor. My beans, let's get cooking. All right, I have been sweating my onions in olive oil over about a medium heat for a couple minutes, and now I'm gonna add my mushrooms. I'm using cremini mushrooms, which are like little baby portobello mushrooms, but you can use button mushrooms, you can use portobello mushrooms. I like creminis because they're not that expensive and they still have a really good depth of flavor, but any mushroom will do. Now we're gonna cook these until the mushrooms have browned and have sort of let go of their liquid. They're very liquidy, so we wanna cook them up. All right, these are cooking away. Now, when you do your onions, you do it at a medium to low heat because onions burn, but once you add the mushrooms, you're gonna bump up the heat a little bit because the mushrooms are gonna release their liquid, and you wanna cook them until they're nice and brown and the liquid is almost gone. This still has a little ways to go. All right, this is looking good. Now, I'm gonna add the garlic at this point. The reason why I don't add the garlic in the beginning is because garlic burns really easily. So you want the onions and the mushrooms to be well cooked before you add the garlic. Then the garlic we just saute for another minute or two, and then, well, not even a minute or two, another couple of seconds. Then we're gonna add all our spices. Now, the reason why you cook the spices with the onions and the mushrooms is to develop all the flavors. So now it's time to smash our black beans. This is just a can of black beans that I've rinsed and drained. They don't have to be perfectly dry, but you don't want them soaking wet either. I like to use a masher to mash my beans. You don't have a masher, you could use a fork. You could use a mug. Squish, squish, squish. It's a little messy though. You know, in olden days, I think probably people used just their hands, but I think a masher is a good tool. So we're just mashing this down to a consistency where you can still see it's black beans, but it's up to you. If you want bigger black beans, you don't mash it as much as I'm mashing it. Now I'm going to put all the ingredients together. There's really no order to how they go in. Just dump everything in, the quinoa, the nuts, the veggies that we've sauteed, the fabulous flax goo, flax goo. The last thing I add is the flour, though there is that one order, because that's the binder, and we're gonna just sort of check how it's all coming together. All right, now I'm gonna add the flour. That is rice flour. And it's gonna start to feel, you see how it's starting to come together? To feel like a burger. You want it to be able to form a patty. I'll make a prettier patty. The other thing we're gonna do before we go ahead and cook this is you're gonna taste it. Everything in here is cooked, so it's safe to taste it at this point. Definitely needs more salt, and I want to add some hot sauce. So now I'm going to make my patties. I use an ice cream scoop, but if you don't have an ice cream scoop, you could use like a third of a cup measuring cup, or you could just use your hands. But this makes it go very efficiently. And then I'm going to show you, after we've scooped these all out, how to squish them down into patties. And once you've done that, these can be wrapped individually and frozen and then cooked as you like. I usually let this rest a little bit before I cook them so that all the flavors get to meld together and marry and be happy. And then what I do is I take another sheet of parchment paper, but if you don't have it, you can just use your hands. But this makes it so neat. I squish, squish, squish. It's kind of fun. And I make patties. I can squish them a little more. I let these black bean burgers rest in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes because it gave time for the flour and the quinoa and all the flavors, everything to marry together, and for the moisture to be absorbed and for the whole patty to hold together. When you're cooking a beef burger, you want your beef at room temperature when you cook it, but with these bean burgers, you can do them right out of the refrigerator. I've even done them right out of the freezer, and it comes out fine. I am ready to cook my bean burgers. I've got a pan on a medium-high heat with a little olive oil on the bottom. I can just start to hear the olive oil doing its thing. Now, you could cook these in a toaster oven if you brush them with some olive oil, and you, love that sound. And you can air fry them, but you gotta brush them with a little oil. You could do them on a grill, but you've gotta put some kind of foil pan or tin foil below it because I'm not sure if they were gonna, I don't know, I don't want them to fall apart. I haven't done them on a grill. I like doing them in the fry pan. It takes 3 minutes on each side. Come on over. I'm using olive oil, but you can use canola oil, any oil that can take a good temperature. You want to make sure it's on a good medium to high heat so it gets crispy on the outside. My burgers have cooked for about 3.5 minutes on each side, so about 7 minutes in total. And And I'm gonna serve mine on a beautiful toasted bun. Of course, if you're gluten-free, you're not gonna have the bun that I have here, but you could have a gluten-free bun, or you could make a lettuce wrap, or just serve it with a salad. So there are my gorgeous burgers. And there are my extra burgers that I'm gonna wrap individually, put them in a freezer bag and freeze them, and then they're ready for me to cook whenever I want a black bean burger. Can't wait to dig in. It has a meaty texture and flavor without any meat in it. So yummy. Mine.
MicroMangia, courageous cooking in a crowd kitchen.